A teenage girl now reportedly identifies as a cat, with the Melbourne private school where she attends supporting her animal behavior. Off to a great start, aren't we? Let's keep going. The Year 8 student does not speak during school hours, according to the reports in the Herald Sun, despite being described as phenomenally bright. A parent reportedly told the paper that the school let the girl behave like a cat as long as it did not distract her or other students. I really don't understand how can having a student acting like a bloody cat and walking around on all fours and meowing not be distracting. When I was in 8th grade, our class got distracted by a bee flying into the classroom, with girls screaming for someone to kill it and the boys wanting to act tough and scrambling to see who can kill it or chase it away the fastest. It is incredibly hard to keep a bunch of kids quiet during lessons as it is, but if you have one of them meowing and pretending to wag her tail around, that's not distracting? Give me a break. The Herald Sun also reported there was a boy who identified himself as a dog for a period of time and had been treated by a Melbourne psychologist. In March, it was reported that female students at an elite Brisbane private school were walking on all fours and cutting holes into their uniforms for tails because they identify as cats or foxes. Quote, "When a girl went to sit at a spare desk, another girl screamed at her and said she was sitting on her tail. There's a slit in this child's uniform where the tail apparently is," a concerned parent told the Courier Mail. The school denied the claim from the parents. Are we really going to sit here and pretend that this is normal, like we pretend that all other insane things being promoted these days are normal? This is insanity, and this is what happens when you put your young children on social media and let them figure out life by themselves instead of, actually parenting them. It's insane to me how we all will call this out, well, for now at least. Watch this video get flagged as furry-phobic 5 years down the line. The point is, we will all agree that this is insane, but we won't even try to figure out the root cause and address it. And keep in mind, this is not just the case here, this is the case with so many aspects of modern life. Depression rates are skyrocketing, social anxiety and suicide rates are through the roof, the rate of ADHD diagnoses is increasing dramatically, more people than ever are living and dying alone, and what is anyone doing to stop it? Drugging us and telling us that surely it's not the way we live that is making us depressed, it's society, it has to be. Brisbane psychologist Judith Locke said she was not surprised by the emergence of the furry trend. She claimed it was only a matter of time before people began to identify as animals after romanticizing them in their lives in film and television. Quote, "But there's a real challenge around the acceptance of people's decisions on how they see themselves these days. It is a fraught area." Australian adolescent psychologist Michael Carr Gregg said he had only come across one client who identified as an animal in his 25 years of practice. The client was a young boy who identified as a dog. Dr. Carr said once the stressors in his life were removed, the boy resorted back to identifying as a human being. Wait. So you're telling me that when someone is mentally healthy, they will stop identifying as a dog? I wonder if the same is true for transgender.
Whoa, that's hate speech.
According to furry website Furry Science, 3/4 of those adopting furry personas are under the age of 25. Furries tend to be teens and young adults, though there are also plenty of adults in their late 20s and 30s in the fandom too. In some cases, furries are in their 70s and 80s. Okay, I live in a country which has not yet quote-unquote fully modernized. Basically, my country has not yet fully lost its damn mind, but don't worry, because we're getting there as well. However, for now, I don't get furries. I'd like to know from people living in the West, how common is this actually? Are there kids or even worse, adults running around in fox costumes or how does this work? I just feel like in order for you to be a furry, to genuinely believe that you are or you're meant to be an animal, you have to have some psychological problems. And what I am saying here is in no way a dig on you if you are a person like this, but it is a dig on these leftist lunatics who try to present all of this as completely normal and mentally healthy and even encourage it in schools. Of course, not all furries actually believe that they are meant to be animals, however I am still using the term furry since that is what the article used. I have found a paper from the New Zealand University of Waikato titled An Exploration of Suicide, Anxiety and Depression Within the Furry Community, the link to which is of course in the description so that you can check it out if you so wish. Their study included 1,249 participants who self-identified as furries, recruited from 57 countries. We found that suicide, anxiety, and depression were significant issues within the furry community, and the literature suggests that there are several risks and protective factors which influence the mental well-being for the members of the furry community. Fanship was also found to be positively associated with anxiety and depression. Furries are thought to have a significantly high rate of transgender members. The furry community has a low rate of heterosexual members compared to other communities. Furries are more likely to be members of gender or sexual minorities when compared to other fan communities, with only 25% of furries identifying as heterosexual. 38% of furries have attempted suicide at least once in their lifetime, with 31% of furries seriously contemplating suicide in the past year. The study also found that 46.7% of participants scored in the clinical range for anxiety, and 41.3% of participants scored in the clinical range for depression. Now, this study includes both people who actually believe that they are animals and those who do not, but who still consider themselves as part of the furry community. Needless to say, these numbers are awful, and I feel sorry for the people who are in this camp, but contemplate this for a moment. If depression, anxiety, and suicide have such high rates among furries who do not actually believe themselves to be animals, imagine the same numbers for those who do in fact believe so. Now imagine if those people, instead of being helped with their underlying psychological problems, were instead being quote-unquote affirmed in their identities, told that it was perfectly normal and perfectly healthy, and that they hold no responsibility to help their own psychological state, but it is society who is at fault for all of their misfortune. Now also imagine that this is happening to children for whom it is magnitudes harder to escape this rabbit hole. That is why this is harmful to children, and it is a bigger problem than just, oh look, this is crazy. Acting like an animal is not someone expressing their inner identity, it is either a response to stress and trauma, or it is peer pressure and peer influence. And that's why if cancel culture has to be a thing, then the ones that should be cancelled first are this school and the teachers within it that encourage this behavior.
My mother told me someday I will buy a galley with good oars, sail to distant shores,